If you want Texas-style brisket,
I don't know if I'm brave enough to say this is the best I've ever had.
this is it. I'm gonna show you how to get it done.
It's right there, tied at the top.
This is a 16-pound Snake River Farms black grade Wagyu brisket. No injections, no gimmicks, just Texas-style simplicity and next-level flavor. Today I'm going to show you exactly how I smoked it low and slow to juicy, tender perfection. I like to start with a cold brisket right out of the fridge. It's easier to trim that way. Any areas of the fat cat that were thicker than 1/4 of an inch, I went ahead and removed the excess and removed any silver skin or hard fat that wouldn't render down. You don't need to go crazy with Wagyu brisket. Just clean it up, shape it up, cut the oxidized pieces off the sides, and let's move to the next step. I had a leftover bottle of Killer Hog's Texas brisket rub, so what I did is I went ahead and filled the rest of it with coarse black pepper. That way I get a pepper-forward Texas bite, which is exactly what I'm looking for. I didn't inject it, didn't marinate it, didn't put any kind of binders on. We just need salt, pepper, beef, and smoke. I started this brisket fat side down. I wanted to protect it from the heat coming from the smoker down below. The firebox in most pellet smokers is right in the center, so I like to have the thin side of the brisket away from the center and the larger point section directly on the center. These two things combined will make sure that I get a perfectly juicy brisket all the way through. For the first hour and a half, I'm just putting smoke on this brisket, just keeping the lid down and letting her go. After that, I'm raising the temperature to 250 degrees. I spritz any areas that look like they're starting to dry up because I don't want that bark to set until I'm ready for it in the next step. And so I spritz it about every 20 to 30 minutes or so. Now don't keep the lid open any more than you have to. If you're looking, you're not cooking, right? So make sure you spritz it and get out of there and let that heat build back up as quick as possible. After about 4.5 hours, beef doesn't really take in a whole lot more of that smoky flavor that's coming from the smoker, so it's okay to wrap at this point. However, the most important part is to stop spritzing at about 4 hours and let that bark kind of take that next step and start drying up and looking like that traditional bark you're looking for. It's very important we don't wrap the brisket until we have that mahogany, that deep red mahogany flavor on the outside of the brisket, and you can see that the bark isn't just going to fall right off. This usually happens somewhere around 160 degrees internal. It's the bark that we're judging everything off of. Once I had that bark the way that I want it, I wrapped this brisket in several layers of butcher paper with 2 sticks of unsalted butter inside to help kind of make everything perfect. Because butter, like bacon, makes everything better. I like putting a food probe in at this point. That way I can monitor temperatures as we get closer and closer to done. I can't tell you how many times doing so saved my cook and not doing so ruined my cook. So, those temperatures are vital and they change from time to time. Once I'm getting a reading of about 190, which is where I set the alarm, I start using a pen, and that way I can probe tenderness as well as seeing what the actual temperature is. Your flat's going to have a little more resistance, and it's probably going to be a little higher temperature. You're probably going to look at 202 to 205, 206, somewhere in there in the flat. And the point temperatures vary a lot because there's so much fat content, it's hard to get a good, reliable temp. And that's why we always lean on tenderness. It's all about tenderness, and tenderness is being able to insert a food probe and pull it back out with no resistance, and it feel like you were doing that to room temperature butter. You're gonna have different results all over the brisket. You're just looking for a good average. Temperature is your caution sign. Tenderness is where you stop. Equally important is resting. I take the brisket off the smoker and leave it right in the paper and either put it inside of another grill or an oven that's turned off and just let it rest for a minimum of 2 hours. I prefer 3 hours. You could also use a cooler. You just want some insulation. Let's slice this brisket and see what she's made of.
It's just falling right apart, guys. This thing is looking absolutely amazing. Look at the juice in that thing. All right, now we're gonna cube this point up. I'm thinking about cutting it in half, separating the two muscles. You got the point and the flat. Just gonna separate those like that, and then we're gonna cube these up. Just, you know, little chunks, nothing special. We'll go this way, and then we'll come back across them. Little 1-inch cubes, burn-ins. Alright, I had to get everything cleaned up because the bugs were just out of control. In fact, they're still kind of out of control. But we are going to taste this guy. So first, it's going to be a piece, it's just falling right apart, a piece of the flat. It usually is the leanest, so if you're in it for a health benefit, the flat is the way to go because there's very little fat in it. But that also means it's the easiest to dry out. So let's see. I don't think I've ever cooked one with a flat that juicy. It's so tender. You get beef. You get a little salt, and it finishes with that black pepper, Texas style, to the point. And the point is, it separates the flat muscle and the point with a layer of fat. Up in this area, it's called the decal. And you get so many brisket shots of juice just running out of that layer, when a lot of times the meat really may not be all that moist. In this case, I mean, it's just moist all the way through. Beautiful smoke ring. Let's give this piece a shot. That may be the best bite of brisket I've ever had. See, the problem with this is the better you get at home, the less you enjoy a lot of the commercial barbecue facilities, because you find out they just don't put the love and care into it that you do at home. Let's finish it off with a cube, AKA burn in. Here we go. I don't know if I'm brave enough to say this is the best I've ever had, because I've had some good. But if it's not, it's right there, tied at the top. Absolutely amazing. Thank you guys for sticking around for the whole video. I hope you got something good out of it. Please go ahead and get yourself a Snake River Farms Wagyu brisket. It'll be worth every penny, I promise you. As long as you follow the tips in this video, it's a no-brainer. Banging brisket every time, Texas style. Simple, easy, delicious.